Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Grimaldo Group, where we love helping families create wealth through homeownership, but not just families, but anyone that an investor can come by. And certainly we would love to help investors continue to invest and multiply what they currently have.
And investors, anybody can be an investor, right, Angel?
Yes, sir. And Juan, you're an investor.
I am. You're an investor.
I am an investor. And it's a great feeling. Is it challenging at times? It can be. If it was easy,
anybody would do it. And here's the thing. We were talking about multiple units, and Angel was talking about selling possibly in California for those people that are thinking of relocating, which I don't think there's a lot of people moving from California, is there?
There's a lot of people.
Just kidding. There's a lot of people.
A lot of people. And the reason for that is, well, there's a lot of reasons, but one in particular. Some people have a lot of equity built up in their house over there. If you bought the house, for example, in 2002, 2004, you might have, if you didn't refi it all the time, but you may have, some people, $800,000.
I was going to say, you went back really far, 2002, 2004. I'm used to Phoenix, where here people move like every 3 years, man. Like Since I've been here, I've had 2004, 2006, 2011, 2013, 16, 22, 20.
That's a lot of years.
Yeah, about 7 moves in the last, since 2001.
Yeah, you're a special situation. You see an opportunity. But generally speaking, I know folks in San Diego that they bought their house and saw their kids grow up in it. Now they're coming to a retirement age, and there's a lot of that happening. Or they see an opportunity to come to Phoenix, potentially get their same income with a job transfer. But yet, when they get here, instead of buying one house, they have the means to buy potentially 2 houses or maybe even 3 with the equity they built through the years. And because of the property taxes being lower here, a lot lower, their dollar goes further, their rate of return is greater.
So, I mean, what you're saying is true, right? Like people could have all this equity. Like you were telling me about your story with the condo. You bought a condo for how much?
Well, I bought that condo for $79,000 back in '98.
$79,000.
Yeah.
Well, how much is that now?
The last time I checked, that one was probably hovering at $700,000.
$700,000 for a condo. Wow. Can you guys believe that?
Yeah, that obviously I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't keep it, brother. So
you didn't know then what you know now.
But just let's say, as an example, if I had it and the tenant would have paid for it throughout the years, I would probably consider selling it and buying something over here. I don't know 100%, but...
Well, now you live here.
Correct.
What was because you lived here before, right?
I briefly lived here for a year in 2003 in Chandler.
Okay, so this was 1998, 2003. Let's say you don't want to move into Phoenix. I'll rent it out. When I moved there, and a year and a half later, I go back, I live in it, and then be like, I like San Diego, but I think I like Phoenix too.
Yeah.
But you're still in San Diego. You're like, I'm going to move to Phoenix, and now you have $800,000. And that condo, like you said, it's probably paid off, right?
It would have been paid off a few years. $79,000.
That's crazy.
It was on a golf course.
Wow.
So I'm not saying that for 100% sure I would have sold it, because the property taxes were very low. It was based upon the time that I purchased it. But I probably would be renting it for $3,000 easily. Now, if an opportunity were to come by, there are multiple dwellings that if they come around and you're ready for it, you can jump on them, and potentially using the equity of a property in San Diego or California, you can get a really good deal here in Phoenix. I'm not saying that they're always around.
No, but here's one of the things that I would, I guess, challenge people to think about is, one is you bought it for $79,000. Let's say you moved onto another property and it cost you $200,000. Just follow me on this one, where I'm going. Let's say 2-3 years later, you bought another property for $300,000. And then, but people say, well, yeah, it's $300,000, but now the property value has gone up to $600,000. You still owe $300,000. It's been since 2002. Let's say now it's 2005.
Yeah.
And then 2005, 2025. How many years is that?
Yes.
20 years?
Yeah. No.
So just imagine how much does the tenant pay? Or let's say you kept it and you've been paying mortgage.
Yeah, that would have been paid for, of which, at my discretion, I could pull a home equity line of credit, and when the interest rates went down, I could have potentially have refinanced and pull cash out to invest elsewhere, maybe here in Phoenix, and buy a property, potentially even cash,
Right.
or invest in multiple assets. So when we talk about real estate, there is so many options that you have that work in your favor if you strategize.
But this is with having the right guidance too, because let's say for us, this is what we do every day. We live it, we breathe it, we're always in it. But for people that don't know, what do you think is the best, course of action?
Well, if they don't know, at least I would encourage people to consider at least buying their primary home if you're renting. That's a discussion that we have quite often.
But for those people, let's say, for example, in California that own their home, they've been there since 2000, 2005, 2012, 2018. They all have a ton of equity, right?
Yes.
So what could be possible with the equity? What are some of the avenues that people can take to, again, take advantage of the equity? Because believe it or not, let's say you have $300,000-$400,000 worth of equity. It's money in the bank.
Yeah.
How much does the bank pay you?
Nothing.
Right? So how can you, let's say I'm in San Diego. I own a condo that I bought for $70,000. It's worth $800,000. It's paid off. I'm, like you said, living what? Pretty?
Yes.
And I'm just relaxed, right? I'm like, well, it's paid off. I don't have to worry about a payment. How can I borrow? How can I tap into the equity to buy more property?
Well, the bank is going to lend you, certainly, if they see the value of your property. You have a ton of equity. There's a pretty good chance, a very high chance, they're going to lend you money against your property.
How would that look like?
It's going to
What
look
would
pretty.
that look like? But how can I borrow against it? Is it a line of credit? Is it a home equity loan?
Oh, yeah.
Is it a
There's different, or
refinance?
you can refi cash out if that's feasible for you, depending on if you're comfortable with the new interest rate. Because if you have a 2.5...
Well, now they're paid it off, right?
Well, correct. Now they paid it off. If you're okay with the current interest rates, which are manageable, you can refi, cash out. You can get a home equity line of credit. There's different ways that you can go about this.
Okay.
And to pull money from your existing, potentially almost paid off house or paid off house and invest elsewhere. Why do I say elsewhere? In this case, I say Phoenix because, again, as I indicated, I said property taxes are a lot lower. The median price of a home is $400,000, give or take.
Right.
Okay. And you can have a tenant be paying your mortgage here, and now you're building equity on a new property. And if you do that times two, divvy up the whatever you pull from your house,
Right.
and have another tenant pay your mortgage.
For sure. One of the things that I would also mention is why Arizona, the property taxes are low. There's a lot of employment, a lot. Every company that I know is hiring.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Job security. What does that mean? Growth. What does that mean? Tenants having money to pay your mortgage. The laws for tenants are very, very good.
Yes.
Very favorable for
Which
landlords.
is something that I wanted to touch on with regard to parts of California, especially LA. I know of someone that had major problems with their tenants, and the tenants had the upper hand. And so he ended up having to sell the house cash to an investor at a lot less money because he was done. He wanted to leave California, the LA area.
Let's go deeper
here.
into that. What are the problems that you see in California happening? Why are people afraid of renting or afraid of being landlords?
And I'm not saying it's every part of California, but in general. But cities such as Los Angeles, well, they favor the tenant. And the tenant can come up with all kinds of excuses as to why they can't pay the rent.
Okay.
And I know of someone that did not receive rent for 12 months or more.
Yeah.
And so that individual has a mortgage to pay, and the burden's on him. And if he started having problems with the bank, so he can end up losing the house because of the rules in place to protect the tenant.
And there's some places that have rent control in Hollywood. I met with this guy because we like going there, and one of my friends owns a restaurant, so we like visiting, and we like to go to his restaurant just because I used to work there, and I think it takes me back in time, right? But anyways, I'm always curious, and I always ask people, so what is the lifestyle? What do you pay? Most people rent, and the problem with as a landlord is that the rent, when you have rent control, you can increase your prices. Then it's kind of monopolized against you, right? That's one. And then the rules, like you said, for the tenants are very, very good. And they actually favor more the tenant than the landlord, which means I've seen people stay in a house for 6 months to a year, like you were saying, without paying rent. Well, people think, well, you're an investor, you have money. No, guys, we have mortgages too that we have to pay. Right?
And it's interesting, how the government does rent control in certain places.
It shouldn't be.
But that same government, that same municipality will increase everything that they touch. If you want to do a remodel,
they punish
to
you
your
with
house,
the taxes.
Well, and the permits. They're expensive in California.
I think that's a good segue into this, Angel. The ADUs.
Yeah. So I want to build an ADU in California.
Well, let's explain to people what an ADU is.
Additional dwelling unit.
But what does that mean?
Well, say for example, you want to do an addition, or in your backyard you got space and you want to build a dwelling unit, not necessarily a house, but a mini house.
Like a little guest house in the back,
but
right?
you can rent it.
So you can rent it and again subsidize your income?
Yeah.
Pay your mortgage?
There's always... So the same government that tells you that they have rent control, so you can't increase, right? Even if there's a demand for your property, you can't increase. The government puts a ceiling on it. But the government doesn't put ceilings on themselves. When you go get permits...
He's passionate about this.
Yeah, when you go get permits to go and build this ADU, it's like pulling teeth, and they charge you an arm and a leg. So they can increase the prices.
You can't.
But you can't. They control you, but you have no control over them.
Yeah.
And that's where I have difficulty with respect to California. That's my personal opinion on the matter.
You can see he's really passionate about this.
And so those are just food for thought.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have the financial means and the equity, you can invest and come out here, and it'll be a lot different. It's beneficial to give yourself the opportunity to consider that.
Yes, and I think for the return on investment, depending on, and one of the things, speaking of a return on investment, is when you buy a property, you come in with 20%. And one of the things that I hear from people is like, well, I'm buying a $500,000 home and I'm only getting X. Well, how much did you invest? Right? Maybe $100,000. How much are you getting on that? Plus the tax benefits that you get, which this is not for everybody. This is also something that I want to clarify, because lately it's been on my mind. We talk a lot about having people buy their second home, third home, right? For those people that are able to afford having that house vacant for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, right? Because we don't want to set you up for failure. If you cannot afford having your home vacant, you should not be investing. So anyways, going back to investing is going back to that condo you bought. Do you remember how much you put down for that condo as a down payment?
I used my VA, so I did 100% finance.
So you didn't even have to come in with any money?
No, just the funding fee at the time, but that was included in the financing.
So, and here's the beautiful part about it. Thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
You came in with nothing. How long did you live there for?
2 years.
2 years. When you sold it, how much did it sell for?
116, I think it was, or 117.
Did you walk away with some money?
I did.
How much?
I think it was like $35,000 after everything was said and done.
$35,000. That's half of what he paid for it, and he came in with nothing. If you would have rented, how much would you have gotten after all those years, or 2 years?
Currently now?
No. If you would have rented,
it would have covered my mortgage in its entirety.
No. Let's say you were not buying that condo. You rented a property.
Oh, I would have. The reason why I bought that condo was, so I was in law enforcement, and every time I got a salary increase, Uncle Sam would just keep eating me alive.
Nice.
In addition to that, my landlord would increase. So I was a double whammy.
Right.
Uncle Sam says and looks at me, I like you because you're getting paid more money,
I love
and
you,
I'm going to take
angel.
more of you. And then by the same token, the landlord says, I like you because I'm going to raise your rent as I did 6 months ago, and you continue to live here paying my mortgage.
Nice.
So I had these individuals that loved me for what I represented to them, right?
And sometimes people feel proud about that. Oh, my landlord loves me. Of course.
I woke up and smelled the coffee one day, and I said to myself, and it was an encouraging moment. I mean, a friend of mine from work continuously for about 6 months just told me how I needed to consider homeownership and all the benefits and so on. And that did what needed to be done. And I went and got a realtor, got pre-qualified.
You didn't go by yourself?
I can't recall exactly. I think I got pre-qualified, a realtor that I was referred to, as oftentimes happens with us.
For sure.
Took me to a lender, and I just went through the motions. I didn't know anything. I says, I need a property. I want to get out from renting because I finally figured this out. I'm losing money. And so, of course, the realtor says, this is easy because he's understanding.
Right.
And I got to a lender and got pre-qualified. I really didn't focus on the interest rate. I wanted to know what my mortgage payment was going to be, if I can afford it. At the time, I was paying child support. I had other expenses. And I didn't want to be house poor. So I was actually pre-qualified for a more house. But I made the decision.
You didn't want to go beyond what you were comfortable with paying.
Affirmative. And I did that, and I don't regret it at all.
And one of the things that I want to mention from that is you didn't focus on the rate, you focused on the payment. And that's one of the things that most people don't realize. A couple of days ago, one of the most prominent loan officers was talking about how we shouldn't even have the conversation about the rates anymore. Well, if the rate's going to drop, I don't know. And this is something that we dealt with back in 2005. You know what? Just buy the house, you'll refinance later. Well, I don't have a crystal ball. What I know is history, right? And I think we're as of right now, I don't think we are on the average, actually below average since 1970 when it comes to the rates. So I think that's a good conversation not to have anymore because this is what it is. This is the new reality, right? Like the new normal, like they said after COVID. This is the new normal with the rates. Yeah. Get used to it. If they drop, awesome, right? You can refinance. But if they don't count on that. Make sure that you guys are set up for success because that agent and yourself, you set yourself up for success.
Well, I wouldn't buy a property thinking, I'll just refi 6 months. What if the rates don't drop? I mean, again, my sister as a prime example, when I bought my house, I've spoken about this before. I got my first property at 7.5 interest rate, of which that was a smoking deal. I find out afterwards when I go to work. I was a rookie.
They were close to 9% when you bought.
9.5, some of my buddies had, and my sister had, I think, a 9.5. Some had 10%. And they were making the mortgage payment. But when I bought, it was at a point where now the rates dropped.
That's a lot.
And when they tell me at work, dude, you got a smoking deal. You got a 7.5. There were other people that were not involved in the conversation. And I had a gathering around me because they were picking my brain. You got a 7.5?
How did you do it?
I don't know. I just went to a lender. I bought the property. I'm happy. So I didn't focus. I make the mortgage payment, which was better than what I was paying in rent. And I got more property. All right. So what I'm saying is today the average rate is hovering 7%.
6.5, 6.8.
That's actually a good rate.
It is.
Historically. But I also have helped people. As recently as a few days ago, I helped an individual get a smoking deal that I am envious. Happy and envious in a good way. Because he got a 2-1 buy down. And this 2-1 buy down, the first year is 2.5 interest rate for 12 months. The following year is 3.99 for 12 months. And then year 3 through year 30, 4.5 interest rate.
Fixed.
Yes, fixed. But wait, there's more.
And that's not all.
That's not all. This gentleman got all his closing costs covered for. That's less money out of his pocket. And he is one happy son of a gun.
And I think that's important to mention, Angel, because a lot of people don't realize that we're sitting in a beautiful time that people right now are scared. However, they should be celebrating And if you're not celebrating, it's because you don't know and you haven't talked to us. So you need to talk to us. You need to talk to Angel. You talk to us.
I'm on fire and passionate about helping people because I've been in their shoes. You know, this is why I get fired up. When
he wants to go out and show you a home right now. Huh? Believe.
I was recently speaking to an engineer who gets paid good money. He's financially stable, good FICO score, and the wife is also getting paid good money.
Perfect scenario.
Perfect scenario, all right? And I challenged the thought process, and I told him, what is holding you back from purchasing? You've been renting for 3 years. You're renting a home, a house, when you could buy one. Well, Angel, it's the interest rate. And this gentleman continues to tie himself down over the interest rates.
How long has he been renting?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So just think about it that way. Like, how much is he paying for rent right now?
100%. I mean, he's paying like $2,300 or $2,400 bucks a month.
So 3 years, $2,400. That's about close to $50,000 in 3 years.
And he has the financial means to purchase.
Well, but let's go. I think we need to hone in on that.
But when I challenged his thought process and I told him, so what is you saying the interest rate? So what interest rate would allow you to move forward? I don't know, 4.5. And that's when I told him, what if I can get you 4.25 or maybe even a 3.99 and your closing costs covered in a brand spanking new home in the area in which you live? Would that not be something that you would consider? And he just froze up. He's unfortunately still frozen because he is not a believer.
Well, I'm going to challenge you guys' thought process when it comes to this. Let's say he's been renting for the last 3 years. He's paid close to $50,000 in rent. He doesn't have anything to show for that rent, except he's waiting for the right time. And he's afraid of paying more than 4.5%. What percentage is he paying on his rent?
100%.
So it's actually 4.5, even 6.5 better than 100% interest rate?
Oh, definitely.
Not only that, if he's making good money, he's probably paying taxes.
That's exactly correct.
We're not accountants, consult with your accountant, but when you own a property, the interest that you pay is tax deductible. And sometimes for a payment of $2,500, you're paying about $12,000 to $14,000 in interest a year,
yep.
Which means those $12,000 to $14,000 you're keeping in your pocket because you're not going to pay that to Uncle Sam if you're making over $100,000.
And that's why I went and bought a condo back in the day when I started realizing how Uncle Sam loved me so much.
Well, here's the other thing, Angel. It's not only the money that he's going to save by the interest that he pays. Is he going to bring the balance down in those 3 years?
Of his mortgage?
It may not be a ton of money, but if there's several things happening here that most people don't see. One of them is appreciation.
Yes.
The last 2 years were crappy for real estate. We've only did about 3% appreciation. So if you bought a $500,000 home, he's about $15,000 per year in equity. That's $30,000 that he made more. Plus, he would have saved another $30,000 in taxes. That's $60,000. I mean, the interest is tax deductible. The taxes is tax deductible. So now, how much is he losing by not buying a home?
A lot.
A lot of money. So for those of you that are like, oh, I'm waiting for the right time. Well, the prices keep going up.
Yeah.
You're going to pay more. So that's not a good idea. You're paying rent. 100% of it is going to the garbage, literally. And then third of all, you're not bringing your balance down. The only thing that I can see happening is the rents are going up every single year. So is he in a better position sitting, waiting, or is he in a better position buying?
Well, and amongst the youth nowadays, young professionals, there's this thought that, hey, I'll just rent because I'll invest whatever money I can in stocks and so on. Well, I
want to see their accounts and stocks that they've invested in.
You can invest, as you just indicated. I tell this person, as you build, equity.
As you sit in your house,
correct?
And watch TV.
You're going to be covering, a need of yours, which is shelter. As you build, as you invest, it's a form of investment that provides you shelter for you and your family.
100%.
Well, but if I want to pick up and move, I can do that. Well, you can certainly do that.
You can rent
as a homeowner because you can pick up and go and get a property manager. If you don't want to manage it yourself, you can rent it and go elsewhere. And now you build a portfolio of properties through the years. So as you build your stocks and your 401k and whatever it is that you want to do, this would be an ideal scenario. And I know someone in the military who, once they did 20 or 25 years in the military, ended up like with 7 houses from going 2 years over here, 3 years over there. And now they sit pretty when they want to for a month in St. Martin, enjoying and sunbathing and being at the beach.
Sipping pina coladas.
Because they have passive income that was created through the portfolio of properties of which the tenants paid his mortgage.
I think right now we live in a microwave mentality type of environment, right? Where people want to get rich overnight. It doesn't work that way. Real estate is a long shot game, and you got to do at least 5 to 10 years.
Well, 401k is not overnight. Most people rely on their 401ks, and that's a different conversation that we can have.
Did you know that they pay their advisor every single year, regardless if he does good or bad?
Not only that, people focus on it's tax deferred. Well, tax deferred, you're not paying taxes on what you're putting in. It goes straight from your income before it goes to you. It goes to your 401k. It's tax deferred, so it's not taxed now. But what's the probability of down the road when you retire and you start withdrawing your 401k that the taxes will be higher? So that's something to think about, right? But that's a different subject that we can address later.
A whole different subject, yeah.
Now, when we talk about long-term commitment in real estate, using 401k as an example, it could take someone 25 years, depending on what job they have and so on, to get $900,000, 25 years. When you can get through real estate, consulting with the
right
correct people and guidance, you can get a lot more than $900,000 in 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not only that, Angel. Well, the volatility of the stock market. You have a friend and several friends that have their money in the stock market.
Oh, they gamble.
And how much money they lose in the last few years?
Ooh, Lordy.
A lot of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the thing is, you have no control over it. A house. Go ahead.
Going to the 401k becomes an addiction. I know some of my law enforcement friends that are fully retired and have kept their hard-earned, saved money in the high-risk funds and they no longer have the ability to inject money into it. So they're running a very high risk, but it becomes like an addiction, like they're at Las Vegas.
Well, I think more than an addiction, it's more the ignorance. And ignorant doesn't mean you're stupid. Ignorant means you don't know, right? But that's why always getting aligned with the right people. Warren Buffett said at one point that the people that come to investment advisors in Wall Street get advice from people that get there and train. People with their limousines get to Wall Street to get advice from people that get there and train. So you want to make sure the right person is guiding you in the right direction for the right investment, because that could be challenging. Back in 2005, go ahead.
No, it's like someone that is telling you what branch of the military to join when they never, ever served. They never even served in the military, but yet you're paying attention to, based on what experience? You should challenge that.
Ask my 12-year-old nephew how to drive.
Exactly.
Right? You got to make sure you have the right person there for you. Anyways, we can go around in circles with this other conversation, but we wanted to mention to you guys that it's a great time to buy. There's a lot of good investment opportunities. So there's a lot of people that are sitting with a lot of equity in their homes that could be invested, right, Angel?
Yes, there is a good portion of properties in the United States.
Yep.
I forgot the exact percentage. I don't know if it's like 47%.
40% of the homes in the U.S. are paid off. Completely paid for.
So we're loaded with equity throughout the United States.
People have tons and tons of equity.
And so they have a lot of equity, and some of them don't know exactly what to do with it. It just sits there. And hopefully they're protected in such a way that when they pass, it doesn't fall into probate court. That's another conversation to have.
We need to bring our trust attorney to talk about it, because I think that's important. But anyways, all that money is basically money in the bank, Angel. How much does the bank pay you?
Zilch.
So we can help you put that money to work. Give us a call. We're here to help.
Yes.
And again, even if we sit down for a cup of coffee, and guys, call us. Yes, we're here, but we're reachable. Like, we're not that big as a celebrity that we don't take our phone calls.
Affirmative.
Sometimes if we're not available, like we're recording, we're going to be here. But we have our team for that reason, because we can't do it all. And we have a great team. And most of our team members are investors, even our youngest one, which is 21 years old. We're going to interview him.
21 years old.
Buying a second home.
Yep. And so he's on fire, and so are the rest of the team members.
He's making Angel nervous, just so you guys know. A little pressure so he can.
That's right, because we're competitive, and he's a young stud, and I'm just a stud. Just kidding, brother.
This guy. Anyways, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It's always a pleasure. And you got to get a giggle out of it, too, and have fun, right?
Take care. God bless.
See you.